going on, guys? Tonight we're going to be working on that 7-inch glide bait I was gluing together the other night. We had it all clamped up and it has been sitting for the last week. So this week we're going to be trying to finish this bait. Now I do want to say right out of the gate here that this video in particular is not a step-by-step how-to. I will do that eventually for this type of glide bait. But this is more of you're with me on the journey as I'm building it and trying to figure it out. So if you guys remember years ago, this was one of the first glide baits I had made with my buddy Matt. And we called it Frankenstein, which I think it says on there, yeah. We called it Frankenstein because we drilled into it so many times. I was trying to figure out, I guess, the anatomy of a glide bait, so to speak. And we ended up getting this one to swim good. He caught a bunch of fish on it. But I wanted to show you guys this because this was actually, I think this was one of the first like swim baits I had made. And then we were trying to get it to be more like a glide bait, slow sink style. So those were the first couple I'd ever made, which they're not too bad looking, but definitely rough compared to these guys. So these are the new 10-inch ones I've been doing. And I actually just got one of these completely finished and gave it to one of my buddies. I can show you guys a little picture of it, which that bait in particular is the whole reason why I'm starting the Baker Builds Lure Workshop, because it was a beautiful bait and I didn't get any video clips of it or anything like that before I gave it away. So the idea with this one is I'm still trying to perfect the bait. I want a really slow sinking, really wide side-to-side action out of these baits, which we did achieve that on one that looked just like this. I can also roll the video clip on that. Okay, out here with Matt and Slim's over there. Trying a big old bait. What did it measure?
It was almost 10 inches.
10 inches. Yeah. You want to name it?
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Okay. We should test these during the day so it's easier to see.
Let me get in the light.
There it is.
Woo!
You said 10 inches?
That's a 10-incher.
10-inch Godzilla.
10-inch Godzilla. Dope. Look at that thing. It's sick.
I like how it pauses real good too.
Right, that's the thing about, look how, see that slow fall?
Ooh.
Get another one out there?
Yeah.
Getting that real in the light.
So hard to see in the dark.
Yeah,
but
we should do today.
I mean, I can see it. Godzilla, 10-inch glide bait. Yeah. So the problem is, that bait that you guys just saw swam perfect, made Matt really happy, but I did not save my file I had on the computer for it. So I lost where I had the weight and how much weight I had in that bait. So I've been on a chase to get back to that exact swim style, which brings us to bait number 2 here, because we want to make a smaller 7-inch one. I have the weight positioned as low as I can in the belly on the front there, and then same on the back, just a little bit of weight on the back. So this video, which is actually going to be a couple parts, will be me finishing this bait, and then we get to see whether or not I found that sweet spot where it sinks real slow and you can twitch it and get a good glide. So with all that said, tonight we're going to do the next step on it, which is going to be sanding and shaping the rest of the bait, along with laser engraving, the scale patterns, and all that fun stuff. So we're going to move back over to the work table here, and I'll show you guys my process. Okay, so one of the reasons I like building the baits this way, where I get to use the laser, is it makes it a lot easier to replicate and duplicate things. So for example, the spaces where my weight goes, once I get that dialed in, then I'll be able to laser cut, or each bait will be precise, and then the weight will always be the same. So it makes it a lot easier to replicate the baits, especially whenever I'm trying to get one that sinks really slow. And though I'm using a laser to cut these pieces out, there's still a lot of manual by hand work being done to them. So it does make it a little bit easier though, once I get my file completely dialed in. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be sanding all the edges, and then I'm going to be shaping the bait. That way it's not just a brick swimming through the water, but I want the front piece and the back piece to be connected in all one uniform piece, so when I sand it, it all lines up together. So all I do is I tape these two pieces together and these two pieces together, and then I'll take some double-sided sticky tape and then that will hold everything together here. That way, over at the belt sander, and if I'm doing some Dremel tool work, it'll all be uniform and I can sand it all at the same time. So now we can head over to the belt sander and start shaping. So all I'm going to do at the moment is just go ahead and sand all the way around the outside edges of the bait, make sure that's all smooth and uniform. So there we go. I got it pretty close. There's a couple little spots, but I'm going to be rounding over that bait. I'm going to be rounding over that edge anyway. So those little areas I'm not too worried about. I got one little spot right there, but I think we'll be sanding those out later. So we can go ahead and head back over to our table, and I got to mark out some lines to know how far in to sand the bait. All right, and to keep things all symmetrical and consistent, that's the main name of the game for me here, is keeping things consistent. I made some little templates or stencils. I guess templates would make more sense. T is for top and B is for bottom on this. That way I don't get them mixed up, because I want the top to be thicker than the bottom of the bait. So what I did was I put little notches in on both sides there that will line up right with the joint. You guys can see that there. That way, once I get this dialed in, I'll be able to replicate it perfectly. Well, as close as I can to perfect. So basically, the front of the bait is going to pretty well stay the same thickness that it is now. And then it's going to taper back as it gets towards the end of the bait here. So I'm just going to get it nice and center. So that's that as far as the top goes. I'm going to be sanding the entire bait. I'm going to be sanding that much off the sides of it. And then once we do that, I'll come back in and draw our lines on the bottom. And whenever I sand the bottom, I'll only be sanding about half of the bait down. That way there'll be a nice taper from top to bottom. And the top will be thicker, bottom will be thinner. But I'm going to go ahead and sand the entire bait. I'll sand that much material off. And the other thing I'm going to do on the bottom now, just to give myself a frame of reference whenever I'm sanding, I'm going to go ahead and just make a nice little line here. And normally what I've been doing is taking a picture of how far up my line is, so I'll know for future baits. But since this one's being filmed, I'll just be able to look back and see. So that material from here, I'm going to sand at an angle all the way up to this line right here that we just did on the bottom. That way there'll be a nice chamfer? Is that what it's called? Nice beveled edge there. Make the bait a little bit more round towards the bottom. And I think while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and knock this corner off the top as well. Okay. Alright, got the edges all knocked off. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do now is take my Dremel tool and kind of carve out a little bit more of this material right in there. And kind of pull the back of this bait in just a little bit. Well, I think that's pretty much it there. Nice little taper front to back. Gets a little skinnier here towards the top. What I'm going to do now is some hand sanding. I need for a nice smooth surface here for our laser engraving and then of course all of our painting. So what I'm going to do now is get some sandpaper. I'm going to sand it with sandpaper. I got a piece of 80 grit, or I'm sorry, 180 grit that I'm going to just do some hand sanding all along the bait here. I think I got it pretty good. This one's still a test bait, so I'm not terribly worried about it being perfect. But I do want a nice smooth surface. That way whatever paint job we throw down on it later should look nice, hopefully. That way, worst case scenario, if this bait doesn't work, it'll sure look good hanging up on my wall. Okay, we gotta jump back over to the laser, and then we're going to engrave the scale pattern and everything on the side of the bait while it's still connected. I get a lot of people ask how I make my stencils, and this is it. I was just cutting, while I was editing, I was cutting some more of my stripes pattern. So make them over here on the laser, and I cut them out of some real thick cardstock material. But now we're going to switch over to lasering the scale pattern here. So my laser does not have a camera built into it or anything like that. So in order to get this lined up, what I'm going to do is throw down a piece of paper here, and then I'll laser the outline of the bait onto the piece of paper. That way I'll be able to line it up perfectly to run our engraving file for the scales. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but my outline is there. So without moving anything or turning off the laser, I'm going to lay my bait in place. Make sure it's centered good. And there we go. Pretty juicy. I got this one little area. It didn't seem like it went quite as dark. Oh, you know what else I need to do? I need to put number 2 right there. I forgot to do that. Let's try it real quick. See if it'll line back up. There we go. Number 2. Juicy. All right, I gotta do the other side now. neighbor's outside feeding his birds, and I feel weird talking with the door open. Okay, I will come right back now because I'm shy.